Good evening. Welcome to the National News Broadcast. I'm Kasani Balachandra.
And I am Dishan Virakon, and we start off by taking a look at your headlines for tonight.
The President states that from a simple beginning, a large change can be brought about on the long term. 6 suspects remanded in connection with assaulting a team of police personnel at Atalugama, Bandaragama. The estimation of damages that occurred due to the new diamond blaze begins. Cabinet approval received for the importation of 300,000 metric tons of additional fertilizer stocks for the Maha cultivation season. A disastrous fire erupts in the location of the Lebanon blast.
Now, starting off with your top story for tonight, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that from a simple beginning, a large change can be made. Therefore, he says that it is necessary to begin from the simplest level. The President expressed these views at a gathering of all state ministers held at the President's office today. The President also expressed his views on the proposed 20th Amendment to the Constitution. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said that when bringing the 20th Amendment, the requirement was to basically remove the 19th Amendment without amending any clause that requires a referendum. The President opined that a wrong impression seems to have been made. He stated that it would be time-consuming if the entire change is to be carried out. Therefore, as the amendment needs to be done within a short period of time, the term of the President was left as 5 years, whilst the other aspects are to be changed.
කරන්න ඕන නිසා තමයි අපි අර ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ කාලය වෙනස් වීම පමණක් තමයි මූලික වශයෙන් මට ඕනලා තිබුණේ ඒක අවුරුදු 5ම තියෙද්දි අනිත් ඒවා කරන්න. ඉතින් ඒක හින්දා තමයි ඒක ගත්තේ. මේක පැහැදිලි කරලා දෙන්න ඕනේ. මොකද මම දන්නවා මේක සමහර ඒවා අපිට තියන්න ඕනේව තියෙනවා.
The President stated that the subject criteria, the tasks and the evaluation of state ministries can be completed in about 3 weeks. The President stated that the state ministerial structure has been decided in order to provide solutions to identify issues over several years. The President further stated that the state ministers are aware of the tasks that can be completed under these ministries, and they are entrusted with the responsibility of working in agreement with the respective cabinet minister on a common policy. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said that he promised to change the political culture. Thereby, instead of designating large subject areas for ministers, separate subjects were assigned in a simple manner, giving a special focus area for every state minister. The President stated that thereby the ministers have been advised to prepare a plan with annual targets covering a 5-year period. He further stated that it is of no use if plans are prepared and are just filed. Therefore, it is necessary for everyone to perform, as the structure even for state ministers has been devised for this purpose.
ඩිලිවරි එක කරන්නට පුළුවන් වෙන්න. ඉතාමත්ම වැදගත් මේ 5 අවුරුද්දටම අවුරුද්දෙන් අවුරුද්ද Tamanට තියෙන ටාගට්ස් එක්ක ප්ලෑන් එකක් හදන්න කියලා. ප්‍රතිපත්ති සකස් කිරීම කැබිනට් ඇමතිවරුන්ටත් මේ වැඩ කරන එක රාජ්‍ය ඇමතිවරුන්ටත් තියෙන විදිහට අපි මේ ස්ට්‍රක්චර් එක හදලා තියෙන්නේ. නිලධාරීන් හරි කොම හරි සැලසුම් හදලා කියනවා. හැබැයි සැලසුම් තියෙන්නේ ෆයිල් එකේ. අපිට ෆයිල් එකේ තිබිලා වැඩක් නැහැ. ඒක බිමට ගේන්න ඕන. දැන් මම මතකයි නාගරික සංවර්ධන ලේකම්වරයා හැටියට මගේ මීටින්ග්ස් වලදී ඇහුවම මොකක් හරි මෙතන කළා තියෙනවද කියලා. ඔව් ඔක්කොම කළා තියෙන්නේ කියලා. හැබැයි කළා තියෙන්නේ ෆයිල් එකේ. වැඩේ බිම නෙමෙයි. ඒක තමයි මම හිතන්නේ ඇමතිවරුන්ට තියෙන මේ රාජ්‍ය ඇමතිවරුන් ලොකුම ඉතින් වැඩි දෙනෙක්ම ඉන්නේ තරුණ අය වැඩ කරන්නට පුළුවන් අය ප්‍රතිඵල ගේන්න වගකීමෙන් යුක්තව මේ වැඩට බහින්න කියලා මම ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
The President also expressed his views on Premalal Jayasekara taking oaths as a member of Parliament. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said that with regard to MP Premalal Jayasekara's entry to Parliament, neither he nor the Prime Minister had made any influence on anyone in any manner. He stated that any argument should have been taken up in the High Court. The President alleged that the opposition is trying to portray that the government was involved. The President pointed out that the judge of the court was appointed by the Constitutional Council, which was then chaired by then Speaker Karu Jayasuriya, which had Sajith Premadasa and Tharata Atukorala amongst its members. The President added that the government has not influenced the High Court judge nor the Appeals Court judge.
Something that changes your life story. Litro Gas.
Sri Lanka and the Netherlands have decided to arrive at an agreement on exchanging maritime specialist knowledge between the two countries. Views were exchanged on this subject during a meeting with the Dutch ambassador to Sri Lanka, Tanja Gongrij, and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at the Temple Trees today. At the discussion, the Premier queried regarding the Dutch team of specialists involved in the operation on board the new diamond fuel tanker and emphasized the importance of implementing a training program jointly with the marine specialists of both countries. In addition, enhancing cooperation in the services sector and the joint multi-crop agri-industry was also discussed, whilst attention was also focused on the construction of hospitals and bridges, vocational training and the progress of the scheduled projects to be implemented in Jaffna. The Netherlands are currently supporting clean drinking water and qualitative irrigation projects underway in Sri Lanka. The Dutch ambassador commended the steps taken by Sri Lanka to control the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic.
In the meantime, cabinet approval has been received to import an additional stock of 300,000 metric tons of fertilizer for the forthcoming Maha cultivation season. In addition, core cabinet spokesperson Minister Ramesh Pathirana says that it was decided to continue with the program to provide free fertilizer for paddy farmers. These measures were announced at a media briefing held to announce cabinet decisions at the Department of Government Information today.
Thereby, 230,000 metric tons of fertilizer required for paddy farming in the Maha cultivation season will be imported through state fertilizer companies speedily. Apart from paddy, 332,000 metric tons of fertilizer are required for other crops cultivated in the Maha season. However, fertilizer companies are in storage of 40,000 metric tons only. Thereby, considering the storage, permission has been given for fertilizer companies to import 300,000 metric tons of fertilizer. In addition, farmers will be provided with the opportunity to purchase a 50 kilogram sack of fertilizer from the market for a concessionary price of 1,500 rupees for other crops except paddy. Meanwhile, cabinet approval has been received for the proposal put forward by Minister Kiheliya Ramukwella on using state media institutions to carry advertisements of government and semi-government institutions. Advertisements to the value of 25% of the advertising cost at government and semi-government institutions will be published over the state media in order to run such media institutions without being burdensome on the budget. Thereby, such advertisements will be aired over the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation and the Independent Television Network, and will be published in the newspapers of the Associated Newspapers of Ceylon Limited. Cabinet approval has also been received to change Public Day, which is currently on Wednesday to Monday from next week.
The government today asserted that there was no shortage of vehicles in the market. Cabinet spokesman Minister Kiheliya Ramukwella said there were sufficient vehicles for the next 6 months in Sri Lanka.
There are 4,100 vehicles already in the showroom in Sri Lanka altogether. So, according to the assessments done, they say it's at least sufficient for next 6 months minimum. Nevertheless, the importation procedures or the principles have not changed yet, but it is a temporary arrangement with regard to the COVID pandemic that we had to control certain imports. So that's one of the easiest things to control, because that's not a must. That is something that is not essential, and we have sufficient vehicles at the moment to manage our transportation.
Now, 9 orders under the Production Tax Special Provisions Act, 10 regulations under the Excise Ordinance, 6 regulations under the Harbour and Airports Development Tax Act and 3 orders under the Customs Ordinance were passed in Parliament without a vote today. In addition, the annual report of the Central Bank, the evaluation report of the Finance Ministry and the mid-year report on the financial situation were taken up for debate. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa questioned the reasons for the government's decision to evaluate the MCC agreement instead of rejecting it as promised during the elections campaign. He further questioned as to whether the government has specifically identified the conditions in the MCC pact which are detrimental to the country. State Minister Ajit Niwad Kabra stated that it is customary to follow a proper procedure when evaluating international agreements. The State Minister said that therefore the government has appointed an expert committee to probe into the proposed agreement. State Minister Ajit Niwad Kabra further stated that the evaluation committee report was received on the 23rd of June 2020 and conditions detrimental to the country have been detailed in the said report.
Six suspects who were arrested by the police yesterday on charges of assaulting several police officers have been remanded until the 24th of this month. They were presented before the Panadura Magistrate Court this morning. Several suspects were arrested by the police in connection with a cannabis racket at Aluthgama in Bandaragama yesterday. During the raid, several females obstructed the duties of the police officers by assaulting them, demanding to release the arrested suspects. 4 police officers were injured in the incident. The suspects have been presented before the judicial medical officer of the Panadura Base Hospital. Later, they were presented before the magistrate court. Investigations are underway to find 2 more suspects. Police raided the rented house of Mohammed Farooq alias Konda Rizwan, who was identified as the driver of the organized criminal Dematagoda Chaminda. Gang leader of the Dematagoda Chaminda was arrested yesterday by the Kiribathgoda police in Aluthkade, Colombo. The house is located in Makula, Kiribathgoda. The police said that 5 grams of heroin, 5 mobile phones, 4 passbooks and several bank cards have been seized from the house. The suspect is being further detained for inquiries. In the meantime, police today arrested 3 suspects, including the brother-in-law of the notorious drug trafficker Samantha Kumar alias Vele Sudha for possession of heroin in Maadua. Police said that they recovered 1.3 grams of heroin, 37,500 rupees in cash, 4 mobile phones and several passbooks in possession with suspects. It has been revealed that more than 2 million rupees have been transacted through the bank accounts of the suspects in the year 2019. Anti-corruption unit of the Talangama police arrested a suspect with drugs in a lodge of Robert Gunwardana Mawatha Bathramulla. The suspect, who is a resident of Udayapura, was identified as an interdicted postal department officer. 4 grams of heroin, 10 grams of vice drugs, including several other drugs, 40,000 rupees in cash, a motor bicycle and 2 mobile phones were recovered by the police. Meanwhile, death penalty has been imposed on a 28-year-old accused named T. Ruan Sanjeeva, who is a resident of Church Road, Matakulia in Colombo.
Now, in more local stories, the recording evidence before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry on Political Victimization today, former Minister Mangala Samaravira stated that the expected results of the Anti-Corruption Committee established under the good governance regime were not realized. The complaint filed by former Secretary of the Ministry of Economic Development Dr. Nihal Jayatilaka was taken up before the Commission once again today. Former Ministers Mangala Samaravira and Malik Samaravikrama recorded evidence today. Former Minister Samaravira stated that he was not aware of the Cabinet paper pertaining to the establishment of the Anti-Corruption Committee approved by the Cabinet of Ministers of the Good Governance regime. He further stated that he was unaware until the moment of recording evidence today regarding the National Executive Council. At this point, former Supreme Court Justice chairing the Commission, Upali Abeyawardena, questioned former Minister Samaravira as to how, given the fact that he was a powerful minister under the good governance regime, that he was unaware of the relevant cabinet paper tabled on the 21st of January 2015 for the institution of the Anti-Corruption Committee proposed to the cabinet by the then Prime Minister. The former minister responded stating that he is unable to recall whether he attended the said committee meeting. However, he admitted that regardless of whether or not he attended, such a decision should definitely have come to his notice.
A team of 21 personnel have reached the new diamond vessel to assess the damage. Water samples collected from the sea area surrounding the vessel were sent to the Government Analysis Department today. The specialist team reached the location this morning. The team includes 7 management specialists and 4 Navy personnel who have received specialized training in disaster management. The new diamond vessel is currently positioned around 50 nautical miles off Kalmune. An oil patch about 10 to 30 meters wide and spreading along an extent of around 1 nautical mile was identified in the sea area. A special chemical was sprayed over the sea area where the oil patch was identified, with the deployment of Dornier-type aircraft belonging to the Indian Coast Guards. Meanwhile, the Marine Environment Protection Authority has taken steps to probe into whether environmental damage and damage to aquatic life has occurred as a result of the blaze aboard the vessel. A specialized team of the authority were dispatched to the sea area recently, and the water samples collected by them were sent to the Government Analysis Department today. The blaze aboard the vessel has currently been contained fully. The cargo of crude oil is reportedly secure. The spread of the fire has been prevented amidst the operations carried out by the disaster management teams. The Sri Lanka Navy states that it was possible to prevent a possible massive environmental damage owing to the blaze.
Now in more news, the World Health Organization has appraised the health sector of Sri Lanka on achieving the status of a rubella-free country and a country free of mother-to-child transmission of HIV. Now Sri Lanka is in receipt of 2 special awards for this achievement. The award ceremony was held at Bangkok in Thailand. The World Health Organization presented the 2 awards to Minister Pavitra Wanyarachi through video conferencing today. The award ceremony was held alongside the 73rd session of South Asian Regional Nations of the WHO. And now let's take a look at the global situation regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, in a room inside a hillside Taoist monastery in China's Shandong province lies a collection of 558 memorial tablets inscribed with the names and hometowns of people who died after contracting the coronavirus or while battling the pandemic.
Mounted on a rocky hill in China's Shandong province, a quaint Taoist monastery preserves a collection of over 500 bright blue tablets bearing the names of those who helped battle the spread of the coronavirus or lost their lives to the pandemic themselves. That includes Li Wenliang, a young doctor who was mourned across China after he died of the very disease he tried to warn doctors about, long before it spread around the world. Taoism, or Taoism, is a philosophy turned religion with tens of millions of followers in China, one of the country's 5 officially sanctioned religions. Priest Liang Xingyang, who started the memorial at the monastery, says Taoists use tablets to give souls a place to rest after death.
They're all completely different individuals, so why are their spirits meeting here together? It's because their contribution went beyond any democracy, organization, or even country. Their contribution has played a positive role in the whole world's fight against the virus. That's the real reason we are remembering them.
And as the monastery commemorates the Hungry Ghost Festival with elaborate ceremonies and food offerings laid out, one family has come to pay their respects. Falling on the 7th month of the Chinese lunar calendar, the festival is when spirits of the dead are believed to return to wander the earth. Liu Xiuqin came to the monastery to mourn her son Liu Hewei, who died at the age of 42, and says the memorial has given her son the send-off he so deserved.
We weren't able to do any of these ceremonies. I thought, this poor child of mine hasn't been blessed. He will be blind and lost, and he won't be able to go forward wherever he goes next. I was just so upset. But here I can see that Priest Liang thought of everything like this. I feel so relieved, so at peace, so grateful.
But not all reception to the monastery's memorial has been positive. Liang was accused of using the memorials to try to spread his religion and make money through donations, and has even received death threats online. He denies those accusations, and in fact has refused donations for the tablets, despite spending over $29,000 on them so far.
The hardest thing is to keep going. Will these tablets be damaged beyond repair in 10 or 20 years? So we maintain them every day. We clean them each day. Then we wait to see if, once this coronavirus disaster has passed, will people still remember them? This is the biggest hurdle.
Now, when a prominent Buddhist monk in Myanmar noticed a surge in plastic waste generated by residents in his neighborhood during the pandemic, he decided to do something about it.
Every morning, Abbot Otomasara walks the streets in Myanmar's largest city collecting alms, which are donations from Buddhists which provide the primary source of daily food for his monastery. But there's one difference. Instead of just food, he's also given plastic waste. Authorities do not routinely organise recycling in Myanmar, and an estimated 2,500 tonnes of trash are thrown out every day, often dumped on roads and in waterways or burned.
If we ask for donations, people will keep the bottles clean. Then we can use them as food containers, which not only saves money, but which also handles the plastic waste issue.
Together, volunteers then sort, cut, and stuff the bottles to make them more compact. It's part of his bigger plan to incorporate waste as building blocks and garden beds for the meditation centre he oversees in Yangon. Otomasara is also hosting workshops to process the plastic waste.
I intend to continue using the waste for any necessary structure at my centers as a way to not only share awareness of plastic waste, but also partially solve the problem.
Bottle by bottle, he hopes to expand and build more meditation centres, using hanging plastic bottles to make sunshades and a shelter using car tyres packed with plastic waste.
Stories here at home. The Presidential Commission of Inquiry on the Easter Sunday attacks today ordered relevant authorities to take legal action against a Maulavi and his council who secretly recorded the proceedings of the commission yesterday. The incident took place while Venerable Galgodatte Gnanasara Thera was giving evidence. The chairman of the commission has ordered the disciplinary committee of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka to take relevant measures related to the lawyer in this regard. The police unit of the Presidential Commission revealed that the acting secretary of the All Ceylon Jamiatul Ulama organization was illegally recording the process of inquiry of Venerable Galgodatte Gnanasara Thera. Yesterday evening, during the primary inquiries made by the police, it was revealed that the mobile phone which was used to record the process has been taken to the commission premised with the support of a lawyer. Using mobile phones inside the Presidential Commission is strictly prohibited. It has been further revealed that the alleged mobile phone was carried secretly hiding under a book. After taking facts into consideration, the chairman of the commission this morning ordered the relevant authorities to take legal actions against the Maulavi and his council at the appeal court. He also advised all the lawyers who were present at the commission to act legally on all occasions, thinking of the future and the reputation of their profession. Now, Minister Chamal Rajapaksa says that a speedy program will be presented to develop the villages. He says that divisional secretariats can contribute immensely in the tasks of developing rural areas. State Minister of Internal Security, Internal Affairs and Disaster Management Chamal Rajapaksa made these comments at a forum of divisional secretaries held at Colombo today. The forum focused on many subjects such as lands, compensation and samurdhi payments. The forum was also attended by Defence Secretary, retired Major General Kamar Gunaratne.
Now today in our Red Light segment, we focus on the Ranna Maternity Home. This is the only health clinic for the Ranna Khadiragoda area, which was constructed upon the Janasuya social development concept in 2002. However, currently the clinic lacks facilities, although around 700 pregnant mothers come across 4 Grama Niladhari divisions arrive at this clinic for treatment. The area residents question as to when the Janasuya social development concept will render a proper service. This is for the attention of the chairman of the Tangor Pradesha Sabha.
In the meantime, Minister Keheli Rambukwala says that a final decision on the banning of cattle slaughter will be reached after obtaining the views of all concerned sections. Joining in the media briefing held today to announce cabinet decisions, Minister Keheli Rambukwala stated that a dialogue on this topic has surfaced and the decision has been suspended for a month in order to consider various views put forward by all concerned sections for a final decision to be taken. Well, that's it with local news. Stay tuned for news overseas. And that's a wrap of tonight's Primetime News. Until we meet again next time, do take care and good night.
Good night.